What's going on, beautiful people? Daniel Magyar in the building with another live stream where we're going to discuss 7 Stoic principles that every man must follow in order to accomplish a happy life full of success, and to unleash his internal power. Because what I noticed, men lose their internal power somewhere in the life. Through divorces, through loss of businesses, loss of finances, loss of physical strength. And when you take any type of a strength away from a man, he weakens and he enters a state of depression. I never met a weak man who's happy at the same time. Every single man needs emotional, financial, and physical power. That's what ultimately builds man's happiness. Now, in today's topic, we're going to go through 7 points, what the man really needs to focus on to keep and regain the power in case he lost it. Now, before I start, of course, you can find my services at themprotrainer.com. You can join my coaching program, 1, 3, and 6 months. Or you can book a single consultation where we can discuss pretty much anything that you need help with in terms of finances, fitness, and human relationships. If you guys are looking for a beef that's really high quality, grass-fed, grass-finished, I own my own beef company, which produces really high quality beef in Texas and Utah. We ship nationwide. You can place your order at dmbeef.com. Now, I also published a book called Weight Loss Without Plateau. This beautiful book has all of my weight loss methods that I applied on thousands of people for the past 12 years. And these people achieved phenomenal results. I go into the details of human metabolism. And that's in case you want to build a meal plan for yourself. You can use the information from the book and also learn something new. So, by that being said, let's get to these 7 steps right here. So the step number 1 is accept reality without complaint. Reality is neutral. Suffering comes from resistance. Spiritually, acceptance aligns you. All right. Here's the most important part. Reality doesn't hurt as much as the resistance towards reality. So, the events themselves, even when they seem to be really horrible, terrifying, really don't hurt you as much as you being in a conflict with the event and resisting. You don't want to accept the reality as it is. For example, your wife left you. Now, why did she leave you is questionable. I mean, there could be multiple factors. What made her desire to go away? She lost respect for you, etc., or she felt misunderstood, she didn't feel heard, you stopped courting her and dating her. There might be multiple reasons, but those don't matter at the moment. You made a mistake or she made a mistake. Who cares? What matters is, reality is, she cheated, she's gone. She chose another man over you. Now, the pain really comes from the resistance of this reality. And you're trying to chase and you're trying to change it. That's what's going to prolong the pain. You're going to get yourself in a cycle that is just a factory of unlimited pain. Instead, you just accept the reality as it is and you deal with the current situation. Same goes for the business. You might have lost money, business, etc. Accept it as it is and start acting within your own competence. So whatever you can influence at the moment, or however you can twist the situation to your benefit, that's what you should focus on. You shouldn't really focus on why did it happen to me, or how could this happen, how could I allow this to happen, etc. That's self-analyzation. We're going to get to that eventually. But just accept it as it is as a first step. And then focus on the things that you can actually influence or change. Now, the step number 2 is control what is yours, release the rest. Your judgment, choices, and actions are yours. Everything else is a noise. This boundary restores inner authority and a mental stability. Okay? You really come to peace when you start understanding that things are there for you to control and there are certain things that you cannot control. What can you control as a man? Your own brain, your own mission. That's really it. There's nothing else that you can control. So, for example, again, there was this situation about a cheating wife I had probably 3 or 4 days ago. A story from a man who wrote me a long email. And pretty much what happened, his wife cheated on him, so he locked her up in a house. Okay? So she cannot leave the house and cheat on him again. I mean, it's just an absolute chaos. This is going to turn a woman off, and she's going to start looking for the ways how she can escape and run away. And it's just going to make her more firm on a decision that she wants to leave you for a better man. Because this guy who wrote this email was so focused on her actions that he completely lost his own internal center and stability, and he was trying to influence her brain and her mission, her life, which is out of his control. And this is exactly how you're going to lose the power as a man. This is exactly breaking the rule number one, which is accepting the reality as it is. And the reality is that she chose another man. He was trying to lock her up in a house. Of course, eventually she found a way how to escape, through the windows, etc. It's just complete Netflix story, whatever. But she found her own ways. And the man was left with no choice than accepting the reality as it is. So you cannot control or influence anybody else. Nobody belongs to you. Control what is yours. And the only thing that is yours is your own brain, your own mission. The sooner you come to peace with that, the better you're going to be off. Same thing goes for politics or talking about the topics that you cannot influence. If you really want to spend time talking about politics, you better become a politician. If you don't become a politician, you should really only consider politics as a topic to discuss before the election, where you have a vote and your voice actually matters. For the rest of the time, you adapt. Because the organisms that have survived the longest on this earth were not the most dominant. Those were the organisms that adapted to every single circumstance in a situation. So just get inspired by the organisms who made it through every single period of Earth's changes, okay? So this is pretty much my stance on the politics as well. The politics is going to change. I'm not going to waste my time talking about it. I'm going to adapt to every single situation, and I'm going to place myself in a position of a winner. Discipline your desires, want less, need less on your mission. Attachment creates anxiety. So want less or need less on your mission. What does that mean? You have a big dream of building this magnificent imperium. You want to be successful, you want to have a lot of stuff on this path. Need less, want less material stuff. Because in the modern world, the imperium is built through finances. So you want to keep the expenses low and income as high as possible. And everything in between is pretty much going to determine how quickly you're going to achieve your ultimate goal. So by wanting less and needing less, you're going to keep the expenses low, because in order to achieve your own internal happiness, you don't need much. Hence, you're going to really escalate the time frame and how quickly you're going to achieve this big ultimate goal. Now, freedom comes. Hold on, one last. Attachment creates anxiety. That's another point I wanted to talk about. When you're really attached to something or someone, you're really attached to, let's go back to the relationships, to your wife or girlfriend, it is so toxic it creates anxiety. Like, you're going to spend so much time worrying about losing her that you're literally going to become anxious even when things are going well. You're going to over-communicate interest. You're going to communicate beta energy to her. You're going to stop focusing on the mission. You're going to lose your center. You're always going to look for validation if she loves you, etc. And ultimately, you will push her away from you. Attachment to your car, for example, if you bought a super expensive car and you're really having a trouble to pay for the loan, the anxiety of losing this car is going to ruin your life. Again, it's going to throw you off of your center. It's going to make you lose sleep over it, etc. So your goal as a man is really not to be attached to anything. Don't get attached to anything that you cannot let go within 30 seconds. And yes, that includes wives and women. Okay? You have to be so stable, so centered, and so prepared to walk alone that you're not attached to anything. That's a superpower of a man. Freedom comes from self-mastery, not acquisition. And once when you understand that a true happiness and a freedom comes from self-mastery, you will actually want less and need less stuff. Honestly. You will keep making killer money, a lot of money, but you want less and need less, so you spend more money by investing into the imperium, by buying companies, stocks, ETFs, real estate, gold, silver, whatever, and you will just keep growing your net worth because you have mastered yourself. You understand that another car is not going to make you happier. That's also very important. The next step is practice voluntarily discomfort. Train yourself to endure lack. Spiritually, it humbles the ego. Psychologically, it builds resilience and reduces fear. So, train yourself to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. You can actually use physical activity to do so. For example, tremendous physical pain is going to make it easier for you to face the pain from the emotional perspective as well. Cold water, uncomfortable. You will teach your brain to do things on command. High heat, such as sauna, also uncomfortable. Heart rate is going to spike. You'll be out of breath. You still stay there. You're teaching yourself to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. This is going to make you overcome challenges of life much easier. Pain from the workout, when the muscles are burned and you still keep going, that's going to make you more resilient. Okay, so you really want to use everything in terms of physical pain so you get more comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And don't ever be afraid of confrontation. Because a lot of men are just afraid of verbal or physical confrontation. And this is where they fail. The best way to practice losing the fear of confrontation is actually a physical fight. Sparrings. You choose a sport, boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, doesn't matter, Jiu-Jitsu, and then you go there and you spar. Right now, you're in a physical altercation with another man. You're getting punched in the face, you're getting hit, of course, you're hitting back, you're fighting. This is going to make you lose fear of confrontations in life. Remember, most men are terrified of confrontation. So if you lose the fear of confrontation, you're pretty much miles ahead of anybody else. And this is going to put you in a winning position, because if you're at your company or at work and there's a moment to be confrontational, not arguments, no screaming, no yelling, but it's time to stand your ground, you won't be afraid to do so, because 2 days ago you were already fighting another guy, maybe a stronger guy than you, in a ring. So this is going to make you more confident, more resilient. Now, act with virtue, not emotion. Do what is right, not what feels good. Always make logical and rational decisions and place yourself in a situation where you're always the winner. You can't really do that when you're acting emotionally. Remember, when you're feeling high emotion, the first thing that's going to come to your mind, how to resolve this situation, for example, you just found out about betrayal, the first thing that's going to come to your mind is the stupidest shit ever. You're going to end up regretting that. So you really need to let that emotion go. Find the place for this emotion within the nervous system. Let it cool off. Come to the harmony with the rest of the body. And then you come back to it when you cool down and you come up with a logical and rational decision. You really come to peace when you understand you don't have to come up with a decision immediately on everything. There are certain situations where you have to act quickly, but oftentimes people don't take their time to cool off and they overreact, and then they end up regretting it. Not every situation in life requires immediate decision making. Keep that in mind. Reflect daily, judge yourself honestly. Review your actions without excuses. This sharpens your consciousness and strengthens the character. So when you are facing a certain situation that is challenging, okay, or you have faced, let's say, even better. Last week there was a challenging situation and you acted upon it. Reflect on it. Did I really do the best thing? Now, when the emotions are long gone, the situation is already resolved, come back to it, analyze it, reflect. If you could have held a little bit longer decision making, maybe for 1 or 2 more days, and you would come up with a better decision. Reflect, analyze, criticize your own self within. This is how you really become better. When you're making a podcast or when you're making any time of public speeches, listen to your videos back and analyze your speech. Analyze the tone of your voice. Analyze how quickly you were saying. Analyze how much you were saying, how much you were getting stuck in the sentences. How were you connecting point to the point to the point? How were you guiding the audience? Okay, this is all meant to be analyzed by yourself. And this is really how you're just going to become better and better after self-criticism. Do that daily in every situation of life, every aspect of life. Whether it's a romantic relationship, business decisions, whether it's a public speaking, whatever you're doing in life, self-analyze yourself. Step number 7, you're going to die. What does that mean? Literally, you're going to die. Keep that in mind. This is one of the most important things that people just don't get. Dude, you're not here forever. You're really not. It's time to execute on your goals. It's time to start acting and stop talking big. It's time to let the fear go. It's time to kill the limitations. And the biggest limitation of a man are the opinions of the people who matter. Let it go. Every single day you're closer to death. Okay, right now if you're 40 years old, you'll remember exactly what you were up to when you were 15. 25 years have passed. You're already 40. You're closer to death than you were to being born. Of course, if we are thinking, people can live up to 75, 80 years old if you're lucky. You never know when the day of your death is going to come. It could be 45, 50, 55, maybe 80, maybe 100, who knows? The point is, you're going to die. And just keep that in mind, that nothing is that serious. Because when that day comes and you start self-analyzing what could have gone better and you have no more time, you will start regretting that you always held yourself back and you really didn't unleash your ultimate potential. You didn't execute on this and that dream. You held back because you were worried about the criticism. You were worried about what people are going to think. You were worried about the opinions of the people who matter, your family, your closest friends. You didn't really want to stand out and be the weird one who's going to execute on his goals and dreams where all of the friends are losers. None of that's going to matter the day you're going to die. Keep that in mind. This was one of the most powerful teachings from Marcus Aurelius. That once when we stop analyzing life and we just take it from the simple perspective, you don't really have that much time left. So use it into your own benefit and build something magnificent. This was it for today's lecture. Please hit like and subscribe on my channel, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and I'll see you in the next video.